Well, hello, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. It's still, what day is it? I don't know. I don't even know what day it is. I genuinely don't know. I just know that this is video 2 of 2 today. And you're looking absolutely amazing, by the way. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel and smack like if you haven't already. It's free. $3.99, baby. $3.99. And in this video, this is a video that I just want to do. It's just a short one, really, because a few of you have been reaching out. I did say, because I'm moving, I'm not really getting back to people in the emails because I put them on kind of pause. But there's a lot of people who are speaking and reaching out about Bethany Funk, Dylan Mortensen, and the fact that they believe that on the night of this atrocity, they perhaps had left 1122 King Road. I know that there's other creators who believe that they have left 1122 King Road and perhaps went to a hotel even and spent some time in a hotel. And a lot of people have reached out and said, look, what do you think? Do you think that there's any truth to this? And the reality is I just don't know. I wish I could say anything more than that. Now, is there evidence that may support that they left? I think that there's a lot of stuff around what happened at 1122 King Road in the aftermath of the crime that just raises real questions with respect of 8 hours is a long time. It's a long time, and where media and law enforcement wanted to paint a specific picture originally about frozen shock phase and going back in the room, shutting the door and going to sleep and this kind of picture, we now know that that's not true. We know that there was consistent and persistent communication in the hours after the time that we've been told that this crime took place. We know that there was parents being contacted. We know that there was the private driver being contacted as well, which is a really bizarre one. We've got pictures being taken. We've got, did I say, new contacts added in phones as well. There's a lot of stuff that raises a lot of questions as to what was actually going on in this house. But does anything suggest that they left the property? I don't think in the documents that we've seen there is evidence to suggest that they left the property. I don't think that we could ascertain that from those documents, but we can certainly determine that there was things happening that should be questioned and queried. And I think that had there have been different people in that house at that time and not Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, there would have been more questions asked of those individuals, especially if those individuals had have been male, for instance. I think would have been in a different position than we are now. But I think that when we think to ourselves, what would we do if we saw somebody in a home, if we heard the things that they're kind of alluding to hearing, then we can only sort of search inside ourselves and think, well, I think I would do this. And a lot of people I see in the comments, they would turn around and say, well, I'd get the fuck out of Dodge, do you know what I mean? I'd be out of the property immediately and I'd be calling 911. I certainly would. I think the issue is here is that we don't have anything that would seemingly suggest that they are normal people. I think that their entire mentality is off. So I can't, how can I say, I can't consolidate what they've done and how they reacted, because it's not my way of thinking. It's not what I would have done. It's not, I can't even think about staying in that property in that scenario without doing numerous things. If I see something that is out of place in that home, then I have to ask certain questions, and that is, why would these individuals automatically think that there is a risk or there's a potential for something to happen? You can read into that either way you want. You could read into that and use that to offer an explanation as to why they didn't do certain things, like call 911, because for 911 to be called, you must have to conclude that it warrants 911 being called. But would you conclude that if you see someone in the house, you hear potentially crying, you hear thuds or whatever, you see somebody who looks out of place in your property, I think that there's enough there to suggest that you would want to call 911, especially when you look at the evidence that we've seen in the form of these text messages and communications between these two individuals. It would certainly suggest that in the abundance of communication, I think in total, I think we counted there was around 80 different messages, call attempts, and that's without, you know, coming back in and going back out from, you know, the to and from. I know that there's some communications omitted from what we've seen. So how on earth, how do we know how many messages were sent and how many people were involved in this entire situation? We simply don't. But we know there was an absolute abundance of it. We seemingly have been told that there was a lot of people sort of gathering outside this property from around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning as well. That's, again, it's not concrete, but that's what we've been sort of led to believe, and seemingly we must appreciate that that is likely. If them girls had messaged externally to that property and said that they'd seen and heard things, and we know that there was people outside this property at the point with which the 911 call took place, then we can determine that they came over because they were called over. So I asked the question before 911 was called, did nobody go and have a look at what was actually going on? You know, we've got all of this communication, but see, and to parents, remember, and parents, if the parents are being told, look, we saw this, we heard this, and we're trying to get hold of the other people in the house, what do you suggest? Why wouldn't the parents suggest, well, go and check on them? Have you gone and checked and knocked on their fucking door? Have you, or they would just say, get out of the house and call 911. Maybe a parent stating that was the very first domino that triggered that call. But in answer to the question, do I think that they left the property? We think that that's the most plausible thing for them to do, because that's likely what any normal person would do. Likely contact 911 and get ourselves out of that property. If you're not brave enough to go and actually look around the property and check on the others in the house and make sure that they're okay. Does that make sense? I just think that there was some actions and reactions that are absolutely expected in this scenario, but they kind of dodged all of them, and that's why they raised so many questions. And this 8-hour time frame raises so many questions, because the actions and inactivity around the things that you would just think are the go-to things to do, they are just non-existent here, and it makes you feel a certain way. There's an uncomfortable nature to it. But for now, I just have to say no. I don't know if they left. Are these other creators who are putting these things together, are they wrong? I can't say that they're wrong, because again, in order to turn around and say they're wrong, these individuals certainly didn't leave the house, means that they did stay in the house for that length of time with their deceased roommates, a long period of time, with all of the things that happen in the aftermath of this. And would there have been indicators within the property that something really horrendous had happened? And would that, or should that, have ultimately led them to leave that property to get away from that? There's a lot of questions, and thank you very much for those of you who reached out to ask my opinion on it. But again, the conclusion is I don't think we've seen enough evidence through the court documents to suggest that that was the case, but it certainly can't be ruled out. But what does have to be questioned is why the things that you would expect to happen didn't happen. Love you all, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Mwah.